I am a recognized technical genius in the industry. My fiancé, Marcus, who is from a wealthy family in the energy sector, and I co-founded Singularity. He provided the capital, and I provided the technology. The company was thriving, and we were supposed to be the perfect partners. However, at a cross-disciplinary art exhibition, Marcus's gaze was completely captivated by Luna, an unworldly art student. Unlike me, someone who spends all my days with technology, Luna spoke passionately about art, dreaming of transforming the cold world of technology with love and aesthetics. That innocent and uninhibited demeanor completely captivated Marcus. He said, "How can such impractical ideas ever be integrated with business?" Yet his eyes followed her as she eloquently discussed aesthetics, filled with admiration and a desire to protect her. Until that day, Marcus hesitantly told me, "Luna doesn't want to be just a pretty face. She says she wants to infuse our technology with soul-using artistic concepts. She wants to be chief officer." "Sophia, it's just a title. Can you let Luna have it?" My hand tightened involuntarily, the stylus cut across the screen, leaving a jagged crack. The architecture diagram was ruined, and our future was over. "Miss Sophia, Mr. Marcus is here," Jamie's voice came from behind me. Before I could stand up, Marcus walked in. He familiarly wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. He gently looked at the screen in front of me. "Sophia, don't work too hard. We're getting engaged next month, so take care of yourself." I smiled faintly, a hint of sweetness bubbling up inside me. The fatigue from work eased in his embrace. But he shouldn't have been here today. Luna had been insisting for half a month that she would host an art salon today, inviting many friends from the art world to her gallery. Marcus had promised he would go. I turned my head to look at him. His eyes darted away, and he released me. "I have something to discuss with you." He hesitated, then said softly, "Luna said she wants to contribute more to our company." I thought about it and felt the only position I could give her was chief officer. "Sophia, it's just a title. Can you just humor her and let her have it? You'll still control the company's core technology." In that instant, my heart felt as if it had frozen solid, then shattered into a million pieces. I looked up at him, this man I had loved for 5 years, who was supposed to spend his life with me. "Are you saying you want me to give the chief officer position to an art student who knows nothing about technology?" Marcus frowned. "Sophia, we're family. You know these are just empty titles. Don't be petty. It's just a fancy-sounding position. Why are you making such a big deal out of it?" He paused, as if to convince me, then dropped another bombshell. "Today is hosting an art salon. Giving her the chief officer position is my welcome surprise for her." My mind buzzed, then went completely blank. My fingers tightened, clutching the stylus. The tip of the stylus, against the hard screen, involuntarily dug in. Scrape, a sharp, piercing crack, a jagged fissure, like a black lightning bolt, exploded from the center of the screen. Jamie gasped, "Miss Sophia, the screen." I snapped back to reality. Marcus was gone. I stared at the ruined screen, at that crack, which mirrored my heart in that moment. I threw the stylus with its broken tip onto the floor, my voice cold, devoid of any warmth. "Contact our legal team for me. Draft the equity division agreement. Then, inform all board members to convene a meeting." In the boardroom, the atmosphere was heavy. I stood calmly at the podium, ignoring Marcus's ashen face at the head of the table. I could see suppressed rage in his eyes, as if he were silently questioning me. "What is this? Are you trying to pressure me with the board?" Everyone's gaze was fixed on Marcus, then shifted to me. "Board members," I began, my voice exceptionally clear in the quiet boardroom. "The reason for convening this meeting today is to inform you of a decision made by Mr. Marcus. Mr. Marcus has proposed that Miss, the artist, take over as the company's chief officer." This caused quite a stir. Who is Luna? An artist? Faced with this seemingly unreliable appointment, the board members questioned him one after another. "Mr. Marcus, we need an explanation." Marcus looked visibly uncomfortable, but forced himself to remain composed. "Gentlemen, this is a well-considered decision. Luna's artistic perspective is exactly what we need right now." I interrupted him. "I'm sure Mr. Marcus has his own logic behind his considerations. But what I want to say today is my decision." Just then, the boardroom door was flung open. Luna, wearing a flowing white dress, burst in. She had clearly been running, her breath was uneven, and her eyes were red-rimmed. "Sophia," Luna cried. "Jamie told me you were here. Why are you doing this?" "I just wanted to help Marcus. Can you really not tolerate me?" She threw herself into Marcus's arms, crying. Marcus immediately pulled her close, protecting her. That instinctive reaction in that moment was more hurtful than any explanation. He soothingly patted Luna's back, then looked up, glaring at me. Sophia, do you think I'll compromise just because you got the board to side with you? I thought you were the most sensible, the one who knew when to advance and when to retreat. I never expected you to be like everyone else, greedy for the title, coveting the empty title of chief officer. You truly disappoint me. Luna lifted her head from his embrace, pressing close to him, and declared loudly to everyone, Marcus is the CEO. Doesn't he have the right to choose his own appointments? She looked up, staring at me, and tech is too cold. The employees here only understand technology, they're like soulless machines. I'm here to save this company with love and aesthetics, and make the products more human. Her words were meant to disparage me, but she forgot that everyone present, including the board members, were the soulless automatons she spoke of. A board member frowned, looking at Marcus at the head of the table. He said with displeasure, Mr. Marcus, it seems irrelevant individuals have intruded upon today's board meeting. I believe the seriousness of this meeting should be maintained. Marcus raised a hand, indicating, and immediately spoke. Gentlemen, Luna's concepts are exactly what we need. Her artistic intuition is a valuable complement that our technical team currently lacks. This matter requires long-term deliberation. Today's meeting is temporarily adjourned. As he spoke, he soothingly led Luna out of the boardroom. In the boardroom, the atmosphere grew even heavier. An older board member slammed his hand on the table, pointing in the direction Marcus had left. Outrageous. Simply ridiculous. Another board member immediately turned to me, his voice urgent. Sophia, we support you. We absolutely will not approve this personnel appointment. I scanned the room, then reiterated what I had intended to say earlier. I'm sure Mr. Marcus has his own logic behind his considerations. What I want to say today is my decision. I stated, enunciating each word. After years of effort, I cannot accept giving a core position in a professional field to someone who knows absolutely nothing about technology. Therefore, I formally tender my resignation from all my positions at Singularity, and will, according to the agreement, transfer all my shares. An older board member sighed regretfully, Sophia, don't be impulsive. There's still room for negotiation. I offered him a grateful smile, then dropped the real bombshell. Thank you for your regard. However, I have received multiple invitations from Mr. Lucas of Nebula. I am now formally accepting his offer. He and I will collaborate to promote a new industry technical standard. Nebula? Luca. S? As soon as I stepped out of the office building, Marcus and Luna, who had been waiting for a long time, blocked my path. Marcus's face was grim. He stared intently at me, his tone forceful. Sophia, I don't care what you said at the board meeting. I'm telling you, this position is set for Luna, and no one can change that. Luna nestled beside him, a hint of naive mockery playing on her lips. Sophia, don't blame Marcus. In this era, there are too many people who understand technology, but very few who understand art. I'll definitely do better than you. I looked at the couple before me, so foolishly complimentary, and suddenly found them utterly ridiculous. My voice was filled with contempt. Fine. If you covet that position so much, go ahead and take it. Marcus frowned, wearing an expression that implied it was his right. He released Luna, stepped forward, and said in a condescending tone, all right, stop making a scene. Luna can have this position. I'll reserve a chief role for you. Your rank and benefits will remain unchanged. Just focus on your RD from now on. Don't bother with these empty titles anymore. Luna quickly chimed in, that's right, Sophia, stop being childish. We're all working for Marcus's dream. You should be supporting him. She tilted her head up, boasting, besides, my dad dotes on me the most. He said he'd pave a path of flowers for Marcus with money, so he wouldn't have to worry about RD funds anymore. Wouldn't it be better if we all worked together? I completely gave up on the idea of communicating with them. My resignation letter and the share transfer agreement will be sent to you by our legal team. I couldn't be bothered to say another word. I walked around them and left without looking back. From behind me, Marcus's infuriated voice rang out, Sophia, are you done making a scene? I'm giving you an out, and you're refusing it? I didn't even turn my head. Back home, I saw my parents, who had been waiting for a long time. I took a deep breath and announced my decision. Dad, Mom, I resigned from Singularity. I calmly recounted everything that had happened today, including my decision to join Nebula and collaborate with Lucas. Finally, I stated solemnly, please help me call off the engagement with the Marcus family as well. Eleanor trembled with rage. That is a menace. How could Marcus be taken with someone like her? Richard, however, scoffed. He had once been a top executive in the industry, and was an excellent judge of character. Cancel it. It must be cancelled, Richard said emphatically. You're better off without a fool like Marcus. As for Luna, daughter, you need to be more careful in the future. In the business world, I've seen too many cases of emerging companies being swallowed up through strategic marriages and planted family members. These seemingly innocent rich girls can sometimes be the sharpest knives. I'm not saying she definitely is, but your leaving that problematic situation was absolutely the right choice. It's always wise to be cautious. He looked at me, his eyes full of approval. You did the right thing. Leaving that mess is a good thing. As for Lucas, Richard's expression turned serious. He pondered for a moment, then said, I've studied Nebula's financial reports and Lucas's resume. This young man is a formidable character. He's a self-made man, shrewd and decisive. For him to be able to contend with those old foxes at his age means he's no ordinary person. Your choice to cooperate with him might not be a bad thing. Your mom and I fully support you. A month after I resigned from Singularity, rumors about my breakup with Marcus intensified in the industry. Some said I voluntarily left because I was jealous of Luna, but I had no time to pay attention to them. I was busy preparing for my new project with Lucas. I took Jamie to the Future Industry Summit to gather some first-hand information. I was discussing technology trends with several industry veterans. Hannah feigned innocent voice echoed through the entire lounge area. Sophia? Luna, wearing a princess dress that was completely out of place with the venue's style, dramatically covered her mouth, as if she had seen something incredible. Luna's eyes held a perfectly feigned confusion and sense of superiority, and her voice was deliberately naive. Oh, Sophia, what a coincidence, you're here too. I thought the threshold for a summit of this level was very high. Only executives from top companies in the industry could attend. Are you here by yourself now? Her voice was soft, yet perfectly penetrating, just loud enough for everyone in the industry present to hear clearly. Before I could speak, Mr. David, from a venture capital firm, spoke first. Which of Ms. Sophia's core algorithm patents isn't an industry benchmark? Even if she were just an independent developer today, she'd be entitled to be here. Young lady, you're a new face. What are your thoughts on our industry's core technical standards? Luna's smile froze on her face, and her eyes darted away. I believe technology shouldn't be defined by these rigid frameworks. I think the biggest challenge in technology now is the lack of love and beauty. Seeing in a difficult spot, Marcus immediately stepped forward to intervene. Mr. David, you're joking. Technology is, of course, our foundation, but any industry reaching a bottleneck needs cross-disciplinary thinking to break the deadlock. This is Miss, a very talented artist. I invited her because I hope her aesthetic concepts can bring new inspiration to our team and explore the possibility of integrating technology and art. At Tech, we never shy away from innovative attempts. A few snickers broke out in the crowd. Since when did it become trendy in the tech world to package ignorance with art? That laughter was like a switch, and the mocking and whispering throughout the venue could no longer be suppressed. Luna's face turned beet red. She looked at Marcus for help, but her words were still defiant. Technical details, of course, are handled by the subordinates. My job is to grasp the direction, to feel the pulse of the market. Feel the pulse of the market? Is she here to tell fortunes? Has gone crazy, bringing such a useless person to ruin his own company? Marcus's face was beyond livid. His suppressed fury, having nowhere else to go, finally turned entirely on me. He abruptly stepped forward, staring intently at me, his voice as cold as ice. Sophia, are you satisfied? Did you have to show up here just to watch her become a laughingstock and enjoy it? What did she do wrong? She only wanted to make Singularity better. Out of old affection, I kindly kept the chief position for you. Is this how you repay kindness, by ganging up with outsiders to humiliate Luna? Do you think you can still find your footing in this industry without me? You're nothing more than. Before he could finish, a clear, powerful voice came from behind me, instantly silencing the entire venue's commotion. Who's trying to poach my partner, and Nebula's chief officer? The entire venue fell silent instantly. Lucas, the founder of Nebula, wearing a well-tailored dark suit, his posture as straight as a pine, walked calmly through the crowd. Marcus suddenly laughed, a sharp, cold sound that seemed to be squeezed from his throat. He walked directly towards Lucas, lightly bumping him with his shoulder, a blatant provocation. Mr. Lucas, who in this entire industry doesn't know that Sophia belongs to me, Marcus? She's my fiancé. If you hire Sophia, do you dare let her access company secrets? Do you dare give her real power? I froze. So, this was the real reason behind his audacity. From the moment I tendered my resignation until now, his so-called attempts to keep me were nothing but a cat-and-mouse game. He wasn't afraid of me leaving at all, because he was certain I had nowhere else to go. He regarded me as his personal property, a possession that, even if temporarily discarded by him, inherently bore his mark, untouchable by anyone else. A chill crept up from my feet. I said coldly, Marcus, listen carefully. The moment you asked me to give up the chief officer position for Luna, our engagement was over. I didn't agree. He snapped, his voice suddenly rising, drawing curious glances from those around us. If I don't agree, it's not over. Don't think you can just walk away like this. Lucas's clear and powerful voice came from behind us. Mr. Marcus, first, let me correct you, your engagement holds no legal standing. Furthermore, if we delve into it, you are undoubtedly the party at fault. Lucas's tone was perfectly steady, yet as sharp as a business negotiation. Also, Lucas's gaze calmly swept across the room, his voice clearly audible to everyone. Let me re-emphasize, Miss Sophia is the chief officer of my company, Nebula. And my part, nah. A collective gasp swept through the crowd, indicating that Lucas and Sophia had indeed formed a powerful alliance. Marcus's lips moved, but no words came out. The color drained from his face. Lucas's gaze then fell on Luna, whose face was visibly unpleasant, standing beside Marcus. He said to Marcus, perhaps your new chief officer can truly use her love to lead Singularity to its peak. With that, he didn't spare them another glance. Instead, he turned to me and gestured with an inviting hand, let's go. I'll take you to meet some old friends who have wanted to meet you for a long time. He escorted me through the crowd, leaving behind a dumbfounded Marcus and a crestfallen Luna. Our departure did not bring calm back to the venue. From a distance, I heard Luna's furious outburst. Completely oblivious to the awkward atmosphere and Marcus's livid face, she grabbed his arm and demanded shrilly, Marcus, what did you mean by engagement just now? When saw he didn't answer, she completely broke down, publicly revealing every word he had ever said. Like a stab wound with each sentence. It was you. You came to my gallery first, saying my art could save your cold company. You were the one who pursued me every day. Marcus's eyes flashed with fierce light. He tried to cover her mouth. Luna flung him away, crying out, her voice growing louder, you personally promised me the chief officer position. You said only that position was worthy of me. You said that was the best gift for me. Marcus's body began to tremble slightly, not from fear, but from extreme rage. Luna was completely beyond caring. She pointed at Marcus, yelling at everyone, as if screaming at herself, you also told me. You and Sophia had only a business engagement, and there was no real affection between you two. You said you would never marry her. You said I was the only one you loved. You said it. Every word was like a slap, striking Marcus's face forcefully. All his lies, his dismissiveness towards me, and his deceit towards Luna, were brutally torn open in that moment, exposed for all to see. The image of affection, sophistication, and strategic command he had maintained for so long instantly collapsed, shattering into repulsive fragments all over the floor. Smack! A crisp, loud crack instantly drowned out all other sounds. Marcus's hand struck Luna's face with brutal force. The entire venue fell into a deathly silence. Luna clutched her face, staring at him in disbelief. The shock and affection in her eyes were quickly replaced by malice and hatred. Marcus's chest heaved violently. He pointed at Luna's nose, every word forced through his clenched teeth, filled with violence and disgust. Are you done making a scene? Do you enjoy making a spectacle of yourself in front of others? He gave her no further explanation or comfort. He straightened his disheveled tie, didn't look at her again, turned, pushed through the crowd, and quickly left in a pathetic state. Only was left, standing frozen in place. The stinging pain on her face was no thing compared to the humiliation and hatred in her heart. The sympathetic, mocking, and spectating gazes of those around her pricked at her like needles, perforating her fragile self-esteem. The farce at the industry summit that night became the latest topic of discussion in the entire industry. I became an inspiring role model, while Marcus and Singularity became absolute laughingstocks. I thought he would at least quiet down for a while, but I underestimated his stubbornness and foolishness. A few days later, as I walked out of the Nebula office building, I immediately spotted that familiar car. Marcus was leaning against the car door, his face haggard, with clear dark circles under his eyes, looking as if he hadn't slept all night. Seeing me, he immediately put out the cigarette in his hand, and quickly walked up to me, a hint of panic and regret on his face that I had never seen before. His voice was hoarse. Sophia, let's talk. I didn't stop walking. There's nothing to talk about. He hurried to catch up, blocking my way. His posture was humble, but his words were utterly malicious. Sophia, I know you hate me, but you can't be with Lucas. Don't let him deceive you. He's a ruthless capitalist. Nebula is his personal dictatorship. If you go there, you'll just be drained of all your value and then kicked out. You understand technology, but you don't understand how dirty his methods are. I stopped, looking at him. Come back, Sophia. Seeing me stop, he thought his words had an effect, and hope rekindled in his eyes. We can go back to how things were. You'll still be the company's chief officer. No, I'll even give you the CEO position. Let's start over, all right? I looked at his face, plastered with affection and regret, and suddenly laughed. Marcus, I asked calmly, you came to find me today not because you love me, nor because you regret hurting me. He froze. I stepped forward, looking directly into his eyes. You don't realize you were wrong, you just K. Now you're about to die. The color drained from his face, moment by moment. His expression shifted from remorse to exposed embarrassment and anger. Smack. The crisp sound echoed in front of the office building in the evening. I slapped him with all my strength, my palm tingling from the impact. I looked at his shocked face, and said coldly, that slap is to tell you to put away your arrogant rhetoric. With that, I didn't look at him again. I turned and walked towards the car parked nearby. In the rearview mirror, I saw Marcus still standing there, frozen, like a statue drained of its soul. What I didn't know was that his performance wasn't over. After hitting a wall with me, he then tried to casually run into Lucas. He adopted an appearance of sincerity and openness. Mr. Lucas, he said, holding a wine glass and feigning earnestness. I know Sophia, she has strong pride. This emotional blow might lead her to act impulsively. Her joining you now is likely just a way to get back at me. He paused, his voice holding a hint of advice from someone experienced. Once her anger subsides, she'll still come back to me. After all, we have 7 years of history together. I advise you not to invest too much emotion or resources, lest you lose both the person and your assets. Lucas slowly wiped the corner of his mouth, not even looking at him directly. He simply said faintly to Jamie beside him, the security here needs to be tightened. Any riffraff seems to be able to sneak in. Marcus, having been rejected on both fronts, returned to the company filled with humiliation and nowhere to vent his rage. Pushing open the door, he was greeted by a meticulously dressed Luna. Get out. Marcus shoved her away, and slammed his briefcase onto the sofa. Marcus's eyes were bloodshot. He stared intently at her, the disgust and hatred in his gaze unlike anything Luna had ever seen. If you hadn't talked nonsense at the summit, things wouldn't have come to this, he roared. Luna trembled with fright. She had clearly never seen Marcus this frenzied. You weren't like this before. Marcus scoffed, his laughter filled with despair and self-mockery. Do you know what I regret the most? He advanced step by step, Luna retreating with each step, until her back hit the cold wall, with nowhere left to go. Marcus leaned down, and whispered into her ear, his voice utterly cruel, my regret is why I ever met you that afternoon. The countdown began for the Chiming New Generation Technology Standard Release Conference. In the backstage dressing room, I was adjusting the lapel pin on my chest in the mirror. Lucas walked in, carrying 2 cups of coffee, and handed one to me. Ready, Chief Officer? He leaned against the doorframe, watching me with a smile in his eyes. Of course. I took the coffee, sipped it lightly, and nodded confidently. He was silent for a moment, then suddenly spoke. By the way, do you want to hear the latest news about our competitor? I looked up, seeing his amused expression in the mirror, and knew who he meant by competitor. Do tell. Singularity has been quite lively lately. Lucas's tone was flat, as if he were recounting a story completely unrelated to us. The farce at the summit that night sent their reputation plummeting. Half their major clients fled, and their stock price plummeted. I listened quietly, saying nothing. Then, he continued, Luna's father, Mr. William, the energy tycoon, made his move. He capitalized on the low stock price, aggressively acquiring shares from retail investors. However, Marcus's reaction was faster than I expected, and even more shameless. Lucas's words piqued my interest. Instead of trying to stabilize the stock price and appease shareholders, he exploited the market's panic, using his last bit of cash flow to aggressively buy up shares at extremely low prices from those terrified small shareholders. He's gambling against Mr. William, seeing who can move faster and acquire MO. Re-leverage. I understood instantly. At the company's most critical moment, Marcus wasn't thinking about saving it, but how to maximize his personal gain from the disaster. And the result? I asked. The result is that Mr. William was one step ahead, but Marcus desperately held on to his leverage, preventing Mr. William from completely pushing him out. Lucas paused, a hint of genuine mockery in his voice. So, at the negotiation table, Marcus proactively proposed a condition for exchange to Mr. William. What condition? He wants to marry Luna. I was stunned. This time, I truly felt the absurdity and incomprehension. He proposed it? I put down my coffee cup and turned around, unable to grasp the logic behind it. Since he hated the Luna family so much, hated them for capitalizing on the misfortune, why would he still proactively suggest a marriage alliance? And, after what happened at the summit, how could she still be willing? Lucas looked at me, his gaze deepening. He walked to my side and said softly, Sophia, this is the cruelest part of business marriages. This isn't about love or hate. This is his last card to preserve his founder status and control of the company, using a woman he already despises to secure his place and not be kicked out of the game, and continue to stay at the table. In his view, it's trading the smallest cost for the greatest benefit. It's pure calculation. As for Luna, Lucas sighed. Perhaps she's compelled by family interests, or perhaps it's her gambler's mentality refusing to admit defeat. She believes a marriage certificate can bind a person and change a relationship. He concluded incisively, in their transaction, there is no emotion, only leverage. The tighter they bind themselves, the more violent the backlash will be in the future. And that backlash has already begun. He accepted Mr. Williams' investment, and successfully married Luna as he wished. In exchange, Luna became the company's chief officer. But to Sid Eileen her, Marcus simultaneously promoted 2 technical directors, creating a system of checks and balances. Their internal struggles are intense, their power structure is utterly chaotic, and all projects have stalled. They currently have neither the inclination nor the capability to compete with us. I couldn't help but smile. This was Marcus's style, always calculating, always consumed by internal friction. He personally turned the company he was so proud of into a colossal joke. I stood up, adjusted the collar of my suit, my eyes bright and resolute. Our powerful alliance is about creation, where 1 + 1 is greater than 2. As for them, it will only be endless internal attrition, where 1 + 1 is less than 1. We have no need to fear an opponent that is self-destructing. A flicker of astonishment and admiration passed through Lucas's eyes. He extended his hand to me. So, Chief, are you ready to usher in our era? I placed my hand in his, and walked out alongside him. Just watch. As we stepped onto the presentation stage, the moment thousands of flashbulbs lit up, I saw in a corner of the venue, that uninvited figure. Marcus sat there alone, looking up at us on stage. His gaze was as complex as spilled ink, containing pain, jealousy, resentment, and a deep sense of regret. This coronation, which was infinitely glorious for me, might have been a prolonged agony for him. The Chiming New Generation Technology Standard Release Conference was a complete success. Applause poured in like a tide, lasting endlessly. Lucas and I stood side by side at the center of the stage, bowing to the partners and audience below. Just as the spotlights focused on us, and we prepared to take our final bow, enjoying this pinnacle moment that belonged to us, an uninvited guest, in a way no one expected, walked onto the stage. It was Marcus. He snatched the microphone from the host's hand, like a trapped beast driven to despair, his eyes bloodshot, his face contorted by jealousy and madness. Wait a minute. His hoarse voice, amplified through the speakers, instantly drowned out all the applause. This grand press conference is built upon a lie. A shameful lie. The entire venue erupted in an uproar. Everyone watched the sudden scene in astonishment. Marcus turned around, pointed at me, his voice filled with malicious glee. Sophia, you're a thief. All the core technologies you're presenting today were stolen from a never-before-revealed secret project at Singularity, the Pangu. I froze. Lucas immediately stepped forward, shielding me behind him, his face icy. Marcus sneered, gesturing for Jamie to insert the USB drive into the device. On the big screen, a large number of technical documents immediately appeared. These weren't core codes, but rather densely packed design concepts, discarded test data, and framework diagrams for some non-core modules. The content was detailed, the logic rigorous, and it bore all the traces of trial and error and evolution that are inherent in the R&D process. This was his last gamble. He had spent the company's last bit of money, hiring commercial spies. Although he couldn't get our core source code, he had, like a hyena, gnawed his way to a large number of peripheral process documents. And now, these RD logs, which were originally ours, had been watermarked by him as Pangu, becoming ironclad evidence to accuse us. Everyone, look. Marcus's voice echoed through the venue. Technological progress is never achieved overnight. It's like solving a problem, you don't just need the answer, but also the process. This is the true record of a project from conception to completion. He suddenly turned to me, a pathological glint in his eyes. Sophia, if you dare claim these are your original creations, then do you dare publicly release the core code of Chiming and confront my drafts? I instantly fell into his meticulously designed trap. All eyes in the venue focused on me, filled with doubt, scrutiny, New York, and expectation. I knew I couldn't release the core code, it would be commercial suicide. But if I didn't release it, faced with this mountain of seemingly authentic process evidence, any defense I offered would appear weak and unconvincing. Nebula, and the newly formed star, would be branded as thieves and humiliated at the peak of their inception. As my lips pressed together, and I fell into a silent dilemma, Lucas calmly took the microphone from my hand and stood steadily in front of me. The truth will speak for itself. His voice was firm and powerful, instantly calming the agitated crowd. We welcome any investigation and evidence collection within the legal framework. As for Mr. Marcus's unfounded public defamation, our legal team will immediately file a lawsuit. Lucas's stance temporarily quieted the scene, but the seeds of doubt had already been sown. Marcus wore a triumphant smile on his face. He reveled in the satisfaction of dragging me into the mud, relishing my inability to defend myself. Just as he thought he was about to win, a clear, cold female voice distinctly echoed from the back of the venue. No need to bother with a lawsuit. All eyes in the room turned toward the sound. The voice paused, carrying a hint of mockery. Because his original draft was also stolen. Luna slowly walked onto the stage. She was dressed in a simple business suit, her expression calm. Her eyes no longer held the love and obsession of days past, only still and resigned relief. She ignored Marcus's face, twisted in shock, walked directly to the center of the stage, and connected her tablet to the projector. Over the past few months, Mr. Marcus misappropriated the last bit of liquid funds from the company's accounts. She calmly stated the facts. It wasn't for research and development, nor for salaries. Instead, all of it was used to bribe commercial spies and gather intelligence on Nebula. On the large screen, the visuals switched. What appeared were screen and shots of encrypted email exchanges between Marcus and the commercial spy, and clear proofs of large-sum overseas transfers. The truth was revealed. Marcus's wild slander transformed into a self-inflicted, utterly foolish public humiliation. No. Marcus completely broke down. He mumbled incoherently, as if trying to grasp at a last straw, but he was firmly controlled by the security personnel who had already stepped forward and dragged away from the stage. The fire of revenge he had personally ignited ultimately consumed him. On the stage, only I, Lucas, and Luna remained. I looked at Luna, and she was looking back at me. Her gaze was complex, holding guilt and relief, and perhaps a hint of mutual understanding as fellow women. We said nothing to each other, yet it felt as if much had been communicated. She gave me a slight nod, turned, and under everyone's gaze, walked off the stage alone, disappearing into the crowd. Lucas took my hand again, his palm warm and firm. He whispered softly in my ear, "Now, the stage is finally clear." I looked at the audience below, where the applause, louder and more enthusiastic than before, had resumed, and nodded. Yes, it was clear. Our era only truly began after all the noise had been cleared. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.